Casey, you ready? Okay. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note, all board members are present. Item 2.2, conflicts of interest. Are there any to report at this time? Hearing none, we'll move to item 2.3 and seek a motion to review and approve of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion by Everson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lohr. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's been approved. Move to item 2.4 and seek a motion to approve the minutes from the September 9th meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
Got a motion by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll turn over to Heidi for our financial report, please.
In the general fund, revenue for the month was reported at $1.4 million and included taxes, state aid, and federal revenue. This fund's ending cash position of $6.2 million reflects a slight decrease from the previous year. Capital outlay revenue consisted of the typical September property taxes totaling $47,212. Expenditures in the amount of $1.3 million exceeded the revenue this month as typical. This fund's ending cash position of $3.5 million is slightly above the previous year and will decline throughout the fiscal year as we spend down reserves for construction and progress of Phase 2 of the athletic complex. Special education revenue totaled $266,000 for the month and consists of the typical September property taxes and state aid. The ending cash position this month of $2.3 million is reported above the previous year. In the K-12 nutrition operation, due to the replenishing of food inventory, the expenditures exceeded the revenue for the month as typical. This fund's ending cash position reported at $234,000 reflects an anticipated decrease due to the spend down plans in the previous year. Preschool services reported monthly tuition from families classified under the tuition paid status. In the upcoming months, title funds will be received to support students identified as eligible for title assistance. The cash balance of $28,737 is higher than it was in the previous year. LATC reported just over $1 million of tuition and fees in relation to the first semester. GOED equipment grants were received in the amount of $1.7 million for equipment purchases that took place last fiscal year. Disbursements were reported just over $3 million, and the ending cash position of $8.5 million is just below that of the previous year. LATC enterprise activity was standard for this time of year, with all accounts operating at an appropriate level to support their programs. In the Employee Benefit Trust, premiums exceeded the claims and administrative costs during the month. September payroll was the first round of increased premium to the plan, and this fund's ending cash position is below the previous year. I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
So the Employee Benefit Trust bears watching?
What was that?
I said the Employee Benefit Trust bears watching for the rest of the year?
Correct. And if you take a close look at September, you'll see that the revenue was reported above disbursement, so we hope to see that as we continue the increased premium levels for the year.
Okay. And we won't know what the insurance increase will be until later in the year.
We have the insurance increase, but the full increase for the 2025 annual year, we have yet to find out exactly what that will be like for claims.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 2.6 with student staff recognition.
All right, thank you much. We have some staff to recognize tonight. I have a couple of awards from the South Dakota State Library, a division of the South Dakota Department of Education, who formally recognizes the 2024 to 27 awardees of the 21st Century School Library Award. The State Library honors awardees with the certificates, and so we are honoring tonight from our high school library with an exemplary 21st Century award, Chris O'Brien and high school principal Patty McClemens. Congratulations. And an enhanced award recipient, the Watertown Middle School Library, Jalen Feininger, librarian, and principal, Dr. Todd Brist. Come on up, Dr. Brist, and accepting on behalf of his wife would be Casey Feininger.
Look at that.
I see a
You
great.
can have her watch the video later. Casey.
Look into the camera.
There'll be a great meme out of this someday.
Stay right there, Casey.
Oh.
Also, congratulations to Watertown Middle School librarian Jalen Feininger for being named as the new Librarian of the Year by the South Dakota Library Association. Out from behind the camera into the public eye there. Also, I would like to recognize our school board this evening. The Associated School Boards of South Dakota recognizes school boards for their participation in professional development and leadership activities each year. And this year, the Watertown School Board was recognized in the ALL program, which is Act, Learn, and Lead. And this board recognition program is designed to recognize school boards for their dedicated and ethical service to the students of South Dakota. This program will recognize board members' participation in outside activities, board development and training, and demonstrated leadership at various areas and levels. And how this program works is by participating in associated school board activities, training opportunities, and demonstrating leadership at local, state, and national level, board members accumulate a point system to achieve the awards. So for each level of award, gold, silver, or bronze, the point totals are counted in 3 separate categories. And in order to qualify for any board award, there must be some points earned in all 3 categories. So in the 23-24 school year, the Watertown School Board earned the silver level. And I would like to present this plaque to them. Board President Stuart Stein, Vice President John Iverson, and then board members Gene Moulton, Carrie Lohr, and Michelle Rossman. So let's go ahead and step out in front of the desk here and get you on camera, and I'll present the award. Good job. Yeah. We'll get this on camera here. We're handing that to you,
Okay.
sir. Congratulations.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll get out of the way for the pictures.
Which way?
Oh,
Oh, this way, this way.
Get that there.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I would also like to note, Mr. President, that we will hopefully at the November board meeting have some recognition for our fall activities that they are wrapping up. But one I'd like to take note of is last week, right here on our home course of Cattail Crossing, the Watertown boys golf team successfully defended their state title and won the state AA boys golf. And Ty Leonards, senior at Watertown High School, was the overall individual champion. So we hope to get them in here soon, but gotta give that note. So, and if I can offer one other congratulations at this time, I see Brandon Heim sitting here from the Watertown Current, the newest paper. The first paper edition was out last week, and they have the ribbon cutting tomorrow at 11. Correct? So congratulations to the Watertown Current, and appreciate you being here covering the meetings.
Thank you. Great. Okay, we will move along to discussion items with 3.1. If there's anyone here to speak from the public on agenda or non-agenda items for Lake Area Tech. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to item 3.2. enrollment and the housing report. Welcome, President Sanderson.
Good evening. I am so excited to share all of this with you. Normally we do our fall enrollment report at the September meeting, but the census date, the official date that all the data was due, landed on the board meeting in September, so it wasn't finalized. So some of this you've heard as we've shared with different audiences what enrollment in our student body looks like this fall. But thought it would be good to give you some insights on what we're seeing in terms of trends, where we're headed. And then we know that student housing, access to that at a price point that students can afford, is an issue we need to wrestle with a little bit more. And so we've done some very early preliminary looks at where our students are currently living in town and what that might mean for our work forward. So we'll share all of that tonight. So first, you can make yourselves comfortable. I've got a few slides to share with you, but on the screen behind you, a recap of where we've been over the last 11 years in terms of fall enrollment at Lake Area Tech. So this is head count enrollment, unduplicated counts of students. We hit an all-time high of 2,312 students on campus this fall. And when I say on campus, that includes our fully on-campus students, those who are taking courses online, and our dual credit students. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, since the dual credit program was introduced in South Dakota, that program has continually grown. We have nearly 500 students from 77 different high schools across South Dakota enrolled in dual credits this year. And then our degree-seeking students are totaling 1,817 students this fall. So by the time we have new students join us this spring and during the summer term, it's likely we're going to be somewhere between 2,600 and 2,700 students who have joined Lake Area Tech over the course of this year. Not only was it record-breaking this fall, our enrollment was 6.1% larger than where we were last year. Our freshman class is exceptionally large, 13% larger than we were last year. Of those freshmen, 23% of them took dual credit with Lake Area Tech prior to enrolling as full-time students. And so that goes to highlight just how important that reduced tuition program is, both for high school students being able to advance and get those college credits early on, but also for us to be able to introduce ourselves to high school students and help them understand what opportunities they have on Lake Area Tech's campus. We also had 15% of our freshmen who had transferred from another school. 133 students had started college careers elsewhere, but found their way to Lake Area Tech this year. Our student body is about 50-50, a little heavier towards male enrollments, 53% male, 47% female. And I just broke down 3 areas of those enrollments because there are some interesting trends as we look at first-generation students, those who have transferred to Lake Area Tech, and then when we look at the ages of students, there's some interesting information there. So this fall, 20% of our student body are considered first-generation, meaning they are the first student in their family to attend college. And you can see most of those students are female this year. As we look at the ages of students, Lake Area Tech has traditionally been a traditionally aged student body. And when we say traditionally aged, we mean students who are 18 to 24 years of age. So you can see on the screen, most of our male students are traditionally aged, a few that are 25 or older. And then as you look at the female column, more of our female students are non-traditionally aged. And you can see in our healthcare programs especially where females who have gone on to other careers or raised kids are now coming back and seeking their degrees. So it's interesting to see this play out. The other thing that I would note here is that there are a few students who aren't captured in this data. We have 5 17-year-olds and 1 16-year-old who are full-time college students who have clearly accelerated through their high school educations and found themselves in college already. And then the other piece that I'd share with you is our transfer student population. 7% of our total student body started somewhere else, have found their way to Lake Area Tech, and you can see that most of those transfer students are female. So as we think about the future and our marketing efforts and our recruitment efforts, this can give us some lines of sight on both opportunities and trends that we see. Before I go into program trends, do you have any questions about the enrollment of students and the student body makeup? All right, well, let's look at programs. If we look year to year, I mentioned that we're just over 6% larger this year than we were last year. Within our 31 programs, 16 of our programs grew over where they were this time last year. 6 of them were level in their enrollments, and we had 9 programs that declined in enrollments. Over this last year, we've had multiple conversations about where we're headed, that we have goals for 2030, primarily that we will graduate at that point 1,015 students every year. And that's a really big stretch based on what's going on in the 2-year college environment. But if we play out where we would be if we had forecasted growth similar to what we've seen over the last couple of years, we would be at an enrollment of about 2,649 students in 2030, and that would get us to that goal of 1,015 students graduating every year. To get there is going to be a big push, and on campus we're working in multiple ways to figure out where can we do our very best work, attract students, retain students, help them to completion, connect them with industry partners so that we can meet those goals, which of course we're only setting because we want to make sure we do our very best work for students, and we're providing skilled technicians for South Dakota's business and industry. This is a really ugly chart. I don't intend for you to study it closely, but I just wanted to give you a line of sight in terms of what are we looking at and trying to better understand as we're thinking about where our opportunity lies between now and the end of the decade. Our goal is to have our programs enrolled at 80% of capacity or more. On the screen here you can see that we've got, I believe it's 9%, 30% of our programs that are at that mark already. 80% or more of their capacity by the end of the decade is enrolled already. We have about 40% of our programs that are somewhere between 50 and 80% of capacity. So with a little bit of work, those will be easy to bring up. And then we've got a few programs that will take a little bit more effort in order to get to that 80% mark. And so those are areas where we're looking at curriculum updates and particular recruiting efforts. Particularly in our manufacturing programs, there's a ton of great opportunity in the industry for jobs in robotics and automation and in machining, in welding. And students aren't necessarily finding their ways to those programs with tremendous opportunity, and so we're working on how can we better create awareness in those areas. Before I get into housing, any questions for me in terms of enrollment this fall? All right, I'd say the tagline is things are in a great place and we've got a lot more work to do. So in terms of housing characteristics, we've been working through in partnership with the city where our students are living while they're here in Watertown. So this fall we've taken a methodology to look at just our degree-seeking students and where they're living while they're a college student in the Watertown area. We didn't pull in dual credit students because those are high school students, hopefully living with their families. We didn't pull in students that are 100% online. Typically they're either working full-time and doing school on the side, or they might be living beyond the community, so we didn't include them in these numbers. And we also didn't look at commuters, though I would say that commuter population is really interesting. We have 428 of our college students who are commuting from the watershed area around Watertown. Brookings, Clark, Sisseton, Canby area, if you drew a circle in that area, that 428 students are coming from that area on a daily or weekly basis. So in total, we're looking at 982 students who have Watertown area addresses. 80% of those students have temporary addresses, meaning they have moved here and are living in a townhome, an apartment, renting a single-family home with some other college students while they're here, and 20% have permanent addresses here. So those might be students who are living with their family while they're going to college, or they may be students who are married and have their own families and are enrolled in college at this time. So again, this is in partnership with the city. They have provided GIS maps to us to be able to look at all of the zones across the city. Everything from ag and commercial and industrial to single family homes and more dense residential zones that likely have townhomes, condos, apartments within them. If you take out those zones, you can see circles that overlap. The little black dots are where apartments are located in town, and you can see campus where there's some really large circles. Where you'll see two circles overlapping one another, those are students that have local addresses. The temporary local addresses are the smaller circle. The larger circles are the permanent addresses. So you can see even around campus, there are a lot of areas where students have both temporary and permanent addresses. Again, those permanent addresses will be they're living with family, or they might be married or have their own families and have established roots here in Watertown already. If you look at temporary addresses, you get a pretty good sense of where students are at around the Watertown area. A few out on the western side of city limits, but most are very close to campus. Some in the southwest portion, quad of town. And you can see if we were to overlap those zones again, the majority of students are living in some kind of dense residential zone. Residential zones 2, 2A, and 3 primarily. And so our next steps are, there's a housing summit being hosted in town in November. Our work between now and then is to figure out, are there opportunities? Maybe students are renting houses in R1, R2, R2A areas where if students weren't living in those homes, that would open up workforce housing or affordable housing so that as employers are thinking about expanding their operations, there's more housing available. And that would obviously mean that we need to work with private developers in terms of more opportunities for students, which opens conversations around amenities and pricing and student preferences. So just wanted to give you a quick look at where we're at and what we know at this point, and it's an area we're going to continue to study and be looking at over this year. What questions do you have for me?
Did you look at monthly rents and statistics? They'll
Part
align
B.
with that.
That's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, there's the two areas, both what are students currently paying and what do they feel is
Doable?
doable, appropriate for their budget, and then what amenities are they looking for? Does it come down to being able to store a boat if they're enjoy fishing or hunting access? Do they want pets? Those kinds of features that we need to make sure we better understand before we get too far down the road.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions?
Okay.
All right.
We'll transition to item 3.3 with the work session.
Just a reminder for everyone, we'll be meeting next Thursday, October 24th from noon to 2 p.m. It's the joint meeting, the annual joint meeting with the Strategic Advisory Council. We will be across the street at Lake Area Tech, and you'll receive more information on the details of that this week, but we'll be digging into the 10-year master plan for Lake Area, so we'll be thinking about what comes next for the college.
Thank you. We'll transition then into personnel with item 4.1.1. We'll start with the resignations, please.
Thank you, and I'm working off the blue sheet. Today's update, we have one resignation to share with you this evening, and seek your approval as it's presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the resignation.
We've got a motion by Lohr,
Second?
and a second by Rossman. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resignation's been accepted. We'll transition then to the contract recommendations.
Very good. Before you is a variety of contract recommendations, primarily for adjunct and overloads for this fall semester. There's also some part-time temporary childcare workers and corporate education contracts that you'll see before you. Recommend your approval as these are listed.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Rossman,
Second?
and a second by Lohr. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move into property. Start with item 4.2.1.
Thank you. Tonight we're seeking your approval to purchase the property at 1203 First Avenue Northeast. We have worked with the owner of that property and agreed to a purchase price of $360,000. I'll stand by for questions and seek your approval as presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of property purchase agreement as presented.
Motion by Moulton.
Second.
Second by Iverson. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Move to item 4.2.2.
Thank you. Before you are a variety of change orders related to the Archway Complex. Included in the change orders are 6 modifications that are an increase of $57,534 to the contract. There are a variety of interior work, stonework, casework, signage, and some soil irrigation work on the exterior. There's also 2 change orders for some testing and liquidated damages in the contract that decrease the agreement by $64,341. So all total, the net contract would be $20,762,438. I'll stand by for questions and seek your approval as presented.
Is there a motion to approve the change order?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson.
Second.
With a second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to item 4.2.3.
Included in your packet is a lease agreement with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. They have a remote staff person here in the Watertown area who was seeking an office. We had an open office, and so the rental agreement is for $500 per month for the next 9 months.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approve the lease joint agreement with the state.
Got a motion by Moulton.
Second.
And a second by Iverson. Any questions, comments?
We're paying the 500, or the state is?
The state is.
They're paying, like Aaron.
They're
Okay.
paying us.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Item 4.2.4.
Thank you. This month, we had a very competitive bid process for the surgical technology expansion project. Of all of the bids that came in, the base bid that met specifications was from Century at $959,300. With a contingency of $47,965. So we seek your approval for a total construction cost of $1,007,265. Construction would be set to begin in January of 2025 with the new facilities opening next fall.
Wonderful. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson.
Second.
Second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to item 4.2.5 with the equipment bids, starting with the semi-tractor.
Very good. We recommend approval of a bid from Harlow's Sales to purchase a semi-tractor at a price of $67,000. This is funded through the GOED equipment grant, and it meets all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the bid from Harlow as presented.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Iverson. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the automotive trainers.
Thank you. We recommend approval of the bid from A-Tech Training for automotive trainers with a total price of $132,130. This equipment would be funded through the FY25 Perkins Equipment Funds and meets all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the scaffolding planks.
Thank you. For the building trades program, we recommend approval from Acme Tools to purchase 437 scaffolding planks at a total price of $73,385. The planks would be funded through the FY25 State of South Dakota grant funds, and those meet all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the bid from Acme Tools as presented.
We have a motion by Moulton
Second.
and a second by Iverson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Item 4.2.5.4, CNC Mill. Should have just said CNC Mill.
You're going to be an auctioneer pretty soon. We seek your approval of the sole bid from Productivity Inc. for a CNC mill with Cobot. The purchase price would be $76,750, and this equipment is funded through the GOED equipment grant funds. Meets all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move we accept the CNC mill bid.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. On to the automation sensors.
Thank you. From Keyence, we would seek approval to purchase the automation sensors. The bid price was $59,651, and these are funded through the GOED equipment grant, meeting all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the automation bid from Keon's as presented.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Iverson. Any questions, comments?
What are these used for?
Within the robotics and automation program, the sensors help with setting up automation and procedures in that lab.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the 3D scanner.
Seek another approval for a bid from Keon's to purchase a 3D scanner. The bid price is $58,363. This is also funded through the GOED equipment grant, and it meets all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the fiber CO2 laser.
Very good. A bid came in from First Technologies Incorporated to purchase a fiber CO2 laser. The bid price is $76,815. This is fully funded through the GOED equipment grant, meeting all specifications.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the bid for the laser from First Technologies.
We have a motion by Moulton.
Second.
And a second by Iverson. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Move to item 4.2.6 with the consideration of equipment lease agreements.
Thank you. Just one lease agreement before you this evening for our heavy equipment operator program. It's a machine control system from Butler for the next 10 months, and that's a no-cost lease. So big thanks to Butler for that donation.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved, and we'll conclude with the consideration of surplus equipment resolution.
Thank you. Before you is a resolution with various equipment from the automotive program, aviation maintenance technology program, and medical assisting program. All items on the resolution are surplus for disposal.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the surplus list as presented.
We have a motion by
Second.
Moulton and a second by Iverson. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
Move to item 5.1 with public input on agenda or non-agenda items, if there's anyone here from the public to speak.
Yes, can I address an issue? On homecoming, at the homecoming.
Can we ask that you come to the table, and then I'll need you to state your name, please?
Yes, I'd like to address an issue at the homecoming game.
Can I have you state your
Identify
name, please? It's
yourself.
for the minutes, please.
Sorry. Tina Murphy.
Okay, Tina, go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to address an issue. My daughter was attacked on one of your homecoming bands on homecoming night by a 20-year-old male. And then also a 16-year-old female joined, and they fought inside and outside the van. This fight nearly went on for 10 minutes. I was just wondering where was staff or teachers or chaperones or somebody to stop it, because, yeah, I just want to
What do you want the school board to do for you?
investigate it.
How old was the person that
20.
attacked your daughter?
He was a 20-year-old male on top of the homecoming van, and also a 16-year-old female.
Did you report it to the police?
I did.
And are they investigating?
They said they were.
Okay, so what again would you like the school board to know?
I just want you to investigate it. I want a school investigation on it. Well,
Okay. Did it take place after the game, you said?
it was during the game.
During the game?
Mhm.
And was this on school property?
It was
Okay.
football game at the football field on homecoming night.
Is there any other information that you'd like to share this time?
That's it, we just want to know, and I am a relative, and I'm just here as kind of to keep her calm and whatever, but she just wants to basically have the school board investigate and their own, because it was school property, school game, school activity, but yet there was a 20-year-old male there who was kind of egging it on, and she does have videos of it. The police department have the videos of it, and so, but we just like to have the school board investigate on their own, so it's unbiased, it's impartial investigation.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that what you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said thank you for letting us know. Appreciate it.
Okay, and is there any reaction from the school board as far as there will be an investigation, or?
I don't think that we're able to comment on that at this time. This is more of a discussion to let us know from the public's perspective. So it's not necessarily meant to be a dialogue back and forth, but thank you for letting us know, and we will look into it from here.
Okay, well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 5.2 with the Northeast Tech High School report.
Yes, our meeting, actually the way it falls, will be this week on the 16th at 5:45.
And we'll move to item 5.3 with school safety.
Let's get this set up here.
I got some slides behind you to share about some changes. I'm going to share about our changes to school safety protocols that we have taken on this school year. So in reviewing our school safety protocols last school year, it was also part of our strategic plan goals, was to look at and revamp these. Officer Harbert's resource officer at the high school, and I went to a training with the I Love You Guys Foundation. And the I Love You Guys Foundation puts together what they call the Standard Response Protocol. And that process is a series of 5 different protocols that can be used in a variety of situations throughout the school building for many different instances. And what those are: hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. And these are and again, these can be used for a variety of situations. What makes these safety protocols easier to use or to understand is that it's shared lexicon or vocabulary between school staff and students, and also first responders, and so it makes it very easy for everyone to understand what's happening from building to building if they were to respond to one of our buildings. It's shared with our staff, shared with our students, parents as well. And so what parents can expect to see is information from the district office regarding our new safety protocols that'll come out later this month. And so, as I mentioned, we've got these 5 different directives: hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter, and they can be used for a variety of instances. And I'm just going to breeze through these for a little bit for you tonight to give you an idea of what that could look like. Each of these are followed by clear directions for students and staff as well. So a hold situation would be when the hallways need to be kept clear. It could be for a variety of reasons. Something happening in the hallway, maybe it's a medical situation or a student situation, but students are given clear instructions on what is expected, and they're to remain in their classroom. Teachers are then to remain in the classroom until the all clear is given, and they're going to close and lock their door and take attendance. What's important to know about a hold situation is that learning still is taking place in the classroom. So it's not meant to be super disruptive, even though yes, these situations can be, but we're going to close the classroom up and continue teaching inside the building. There's a lot of different discussions that we have to have with our staff about what happens if this takes place during class change time or things like that. Is this a lockdown? No, it's not. It's business as usual inside of the classroom. But that is a lockdown, or excuse me, a hold situation. We've had to use these already this year just to kind of keep students away from certain hallways. But yeah, so that is a hold, which is different than a lockdown. So this is not a lockdown. Secure's a situation, maybe there's something happening outside of the building. So this is when we need students and staff inside the building. So perhaps there's criminal activity in the area, protests, dangerous animals. But the main point is to get inside and lock the doors. So no one is coming into the building and no one is leaving the building. Inside the building, it's business as usual. So this is different than a hold situation, because instead of holding in the classroom, we're holding in the building itself. Students are to be inside the building. Again, no one's in or out. Teachers are going to make sure everyone's inside, take attendance, lock the doors, be aware of what's happening around the building as well, and to let administration know. They're going to, again, take attendance and note the time. The secure situation could change throughout the day, so it might be where we start to, if it takes place at the end of the day, then maybe we are a controlled release situation where parents have to come and get their child, and we dismiss them with their parent or guardian or whoever's picking them up. It could be a monitored entry situation too, where maybe police are helping us or administration is keeping track of who's actually coming and going from the building. So that's a secure situation that might be used. An actual lockdown, the instructions that are given for a lockdown are locks, so locking the door, lights are turned off, and you're out of sight. Something dangerous is actually now inside the building. Could be of the wrong person. Could be a report of a weapon. Could be something worse. But we do need to lock down. A lockdown is used as a time barrier. In situations of intruders into a building, 70% of those are done in 5 minutes or less. And that was a study done by the FBI. And 90% of them are done in 10 minutes or less. So it's important for our staff and students to know that when they hear lockdown, they're responding immediately and following those directions of locking the door, lights are off, and they're out of sight. What we're really trying to do is create that time barrier, a locked door. There's not been an instance where intruders have gone through locked classroom doors. So that's an important piece to have. So student instructions, there's a video here I'm not going to show, but the main point of it would be is if we're in a classroom like this and the door is over there, the lights are off, we're locking the door, and then we're out of the view of that classroom door. A lot of our classrooms have the side panel windows and things like that, but we're wanting to make sure that we're out of the sight of those windows. Asking students to be silent. Their phones should be muted. Don't open the door for anyone. The door should be locked. Turn off the lights, out of sight. And we are taking attendance as well during this time. Question that was brought up, can we text our parents? And yes, what we would expect from students is to still have their phones, because that can be a great way for our students letting their parents know that they're okay, right? And so some of the discussions that we've had and continue to have are, an expectation that if we're in a lockdown, okay, students text your parents, let them know that you're okay. We'll let them know that every 5 minutes or 15 minutes we're going to give them an update. And so that there's a different way that parents can be aware of what's not necessarily specifically happening, but their student is safe. Evacuate is the next one. Evacuate can be used for lots of different things as well. Again, those are going to be clear instructions. Not going to be taking our stuff with them. Should take their phone with them though. This could be like for a fire drill. Maybe we just have to get students out of the building for a certain situation, or maybe we had a lockdown and now we're needing to evacuate, but we are going to be leaving the building. Teachers are going to be in charge of taking attendance, and they're responsible for their students, so that even though this is an evacuation situation, staff are still responsible for their students and not just evacuating themselves only. We do have the option for a self-evacuation, so if there's students in the hallway, they're close to an exit, and they hear that evacuation needs to happen, they should evacuate the building. This is a short video. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but it's talking about if the police were to come, we're going to be following their directives. So it's going to be different than what we would do as a school, but police would come in and do a much different type of evacuation with our students. The main thing for student instructions and teacher instructions are that you should be listening for what's being asked of you to do. Teachers grabbing an attendance sheet, going to where the evacuation point has been established, and to bring their phone. Our evacuation points are confirmed each year by building principals. So our building principals are responsible to kind of secure and establish, confirm those evacuation points for the buildings, because we are obviously all across town. We're not going to evacuate all the way across town, but somewhere nearby, and our building principals are responsible for doing that. And then again, taking attendance, ensuring that we have everyone. And the last one is shelter. This would be one where in South Dakota, the most common one that we use is a tornado drill. So instructions would come across for why we would need to do a shelter in place, wanted to remain safe. Teachers, if you can, taking attendance again. But again, it's very short, concise, to the point instructions. If you kind of noticed through some of that, the instructions are very similar for all 5 of those, that students should be listening for the action that is asked of them, and teachers are always asked to confirm their attendance throughout that process as well, so we're keeping track of our students during these situations. So what parents can expect is some information coming home. We do have parent handouts that kind of go into some detail of each of these 5 protocols. They can ask building principals. They can ask me at the district office. They will see posters around our school buildings explaining those 5 scenarios as well, and kind of just to the point instructions. What we've kind of done is we've taken our old school binder or flip chart of expectations that might have 15 or 20 different expectations, and now we've got it into 5 protocols that can be given with just very clear instructions after they're said. If you want more information on this, it's all free. It's all online at iloveyoguys.org. There are different setups for the I Love You Guys Foundation and their protocols. Obviously, we're using the K-12 protocols. This has also been modified to be used in the business world, higher education, things like that as well. I know there's other businesses in town that are also working with our PD to use this same type of protocol. So when our PD responds kind of anywhere in town to situations, they kind of have the same information. So that's a little bit on school safety. If you've got any questions on that at all, but thank you to the Watertown Police Department in partnering with us in taking that on.
Did you say staff have already been trained, or they will be?
Yep, they have been. Yep, we started training our administrators this summer, trained our staff, then we got back, and then worked with training our students as well once school's been going.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move to item 5.4 with initiated measure 28.
Yes, just pulling one of there's a number of ballot issues on the November ballot this year, and I'm only pointing out one because it could directly impact schools, and that is initiated measure 28, which is the initiated measure that would remove the sales tax on anything sold for human consumption except for alcohol and prepared food. The way, just to note how it could directly impact schools is schools do not get sales tax revenue directly, but it is a main source of revenue for the state, which then provides public school funding. So estimates are in the anywhere from 130 to 600 million lost revenue, depending on the interpretation of the, what human consumption means. And just a real concern from the school districts. So the Associated School Boards of South Dakota and the South Dakota School Superintendents Association have both issued opposition to this. I believe our chamber has also issued opposition to this. The South Dakota Municipal League estimates that if initiated Measure 28 passes, cities and towns would lose at least $51.5 million in sales tax revenue each year, and that is direct revenue for the city of Watertown. So that is a main revenue source for the city's budget. So just wanted to bring it before the board, possibly for discussion. Obviously, I'm not an expert on any of this, but I do know the impact when it comes to the state level. They kind of call it the big three, which is education, Medicaid, and state workers usually follow whatever the rate of inflation is. Kind of that's where our budget, comes from. And I don't see it within the big three for sure with that sort of revenue loss, how schools would not be impacted. That would be both K-12 as well as Lake Area. So I'll throw it out to the board in terms of discussion, or if there's anything anybody else wants to say with regards to this.
Further comments from the board?
Nobody likes taxes, but as James Madison or Thomas Jefferson said, that taxes are the price you pay for a civilized society. We don't like them, but we got to have them to fund our schools and our cities, our roads.
I think one of the arguments is that this could lead to income tax statewide. I think that's been a part of the discussion.
And while I recognize we have many constituents who would probably benefit from this lack of from the loss of the tax, there would also be, negative consequences because of the collective revenue on state budgets and the things that are funded out of that. So, Heidi or Derek, did you have anything coming from your discussions or groups on the IM 28?
I know the biggest comment that has been made is that unless there is a replacement revenue identified, initiated Measure 28 there will be a lack of revenue source to the state to the tune of 25%. So.
There are other measures too that have big impact, and that's the marijuana one, which would have a huge impact on schools and children. You can look at the states that have passed that and the problems they have. It's dire, particularly on children and workers.
All right, we'll move to the bills, if there's a motion to approve the bills.
I move we approve the bills.
Thank you, Jean. We've got a motion from Jean.
Second.
Second by Iverson. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we've got the bills paid for. We'll move to personnel.
On our green sheet, one addition for resignation and an attached letter. So just recommend your approval on those 3 resignations.
Is there a motion to approve the resignations as presented?
So moved.
I'm sorry, was that Rochelle?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Rochelle.
Second.
Second by Laura. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resignations have been accepted. Item 6.2.2 with contract recommendations and addendums.
A list of a few lane changes for staff and then some training hours, 2 custodians, 3 custodians as well. I just would recommend your approval for those contract recommendations and addendums.
Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the recommendations and addendums.
Motion by Laura,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments?
What's teach training?
That is sped specific, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it deals with autism type training. No?
Okay,
Yes, okay.
thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Moving to item 6.2.3, the volunteer list.
Yeah, and then this is our yearly listing for volunteers. Got those up on the board here, and just would recommend those to be approved.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's been approved. We'll move to the financial report.
Thank you. The fiscal year ending 2024 annual report of the Watertown School District has been submitted and approved by the Department of Education. The report provides a briefing of each fund at fiscal year end, including balance sheets and profit loss statements for enterprise funding. Also included within the report is information relating to this fiscal year. It includes the budget hearing presentation, negotiated agreement documents, and the newly adopted strategic plan for your reference. Please note that the PDF version of this report can be found on the district's website. Pages 1 through 8 of the document include a briefing of each fund at fiscal year end. The financial strategic planning for the district indicates that the district's goal is to maintain operations of each fund at a level at or above 15% for fund balance. At fiscal year end, all major operating funds met this criteria. The general fund reported a fund balance at $7.4 million at year end, or 24.82% fund balance. Notes to the fund operation include the COVID relief funding dropped off at fiscal year end, and that the fund will continue to plan for future enrollment projections. The ending fund balance in the capital outlay fund is noted at just over $7 million. This year's budget sets aside funding for phase 2 of the athletic complex and anticipates capital outlay certificate funding in support of that project as well. The special education fund had an ending fund balance on June 30th of just over $2 million. This fund balance is 20.5% of the 23-24 expenses. The financial activity of LATC reflects an anticipated financial decrease of $1.7 million. Construction in progress of the Archway project is reflective of this decline, with anticipated contributions from the Foundation for Construction in Progress. The June 30th, 2024 ending fund balance of the LATC fund was $5.4 million and will accommodate cash balance fluctuations created by construction in progress. Other activity noted within the report includes budgeted activity as well as profit and loss statements within the enterprise funds of both K-12 and LATC, including the operation of K-12 nutrition, arena concessions, driver's ed preschool, and for LATC, the bookstore, food service, and educare. Aside from operation in the major and enterprise funds, the district also oversees $27 million, as noted on page 9 of the report, in custodial and internal service funds, including self-funded insurance and LATC financial aid. This document provides a recap of the previous year, a look into anticipation for 2025, and general information to assist in decision-making for the district. And a note for the board, we will have our October 30th fall planning meeting, and just bring that book with you to reference for that meeting as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I have some, but I'll save it for the meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, Heidi, does this need an approval then?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so is there a motion to approve this report?
So moved.
We've got a motion by Rossman
Second.
and a second by Laura. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's been approved. Go to the student enrollment requests with the open enrollments.
Yes, we have no open enrollments this month. And then moving on to the 13-28-10s, we do have one for your consideration and recommend approval.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll turn it to the administrative reports and Dr. Danielson.
Okay, thank you. I just notes for the board. We will be holding our large school meetings this week. So I will be out attending that with the other large school superintendents in Chamberlain. On Friday, board, you are invited if you'd like to come to our transportation breakfast on October 18th, 8:30 a.m. at the Transportation Center. Admin invited as well. Come out and recognize your transportation staff. It looks like it should be before snow flies, so. Heidi mentioned the fall planning meeting. That's Wednesday, October 30th, and I think we're gonna start that one at 5 p.m. Not 5:30, we'll
Change it
start
to
at
5.
5.
Okay.
We'll move it up a half hour, and get going with the planning meeting. I'll get you some, keep reminding you of that one, but 5 o'clock on October 30th, that'll be right here. And then the regular November meeting would fall on Veterans Day, which is a district-wide holiday, including district offices. So we are asking for your consideration to hold the November meeting on Tuesday, November 12th at 5:30. So the regular November meeting, Tuesday, November 12th at 5:30.
Do we need to do anything official on that?
It would just be, I wanted to note it at this meeting, and then any notices that go out would be published with that as the date. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, item 7.2, if there's anyone that has a report for the superintendent. Okay, item 8, executive session. We need a motion to go into executive session.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Moulton, second by Iverson.
With no action to come out of that.
All right, we are in executive session.